let me get the actual start of the podcast. Welcome, everyone, to the Sickos Committee podcast. This is our podcast for the evening of April 16th, 2024. If I have weird energy, it's because we recorded the Spencer part first, let you in behind the curtain. But so that we've already been talking for about 20 minutes and my energy is going to be... Do you find yourself, you have a natural energy curve in the show, y'all? Like...
Yeah.
Yes.
I definitely have a natural energy curve. If I come in too hot, it's a little weird.
I not only have a natural energy curve when we're recording the show, I also have a natural energy curve when I am then editing the show the next day.
There you go.
There is a point where I will hit a wall, and it's not even like energy doing, like I'm like sleepy tired, like I'm ready to go to sleep. So every day, the next day when I edit, it's always a battle to try to get as far into the podcast as I can before I get sleepy.
Gotcha. As always, I am Jordan. With me tonight, I have Commish, Beth, Pitt Girl, and Arthur on the ones and twos. Beth, how are you?
There has been a child under the age of 10 in my home since March 27th.
That's too
that
much.
Finally changed today. At different points, there has been as many as 5 children in my house, and it's so quiet. My house is possibly haunted.
Are your cats coming out again? Did they run away?
I mean, so Podcat adores all humans in the world, including 3-year-olds who he has learned are a source of ready food anytime he wants it. The other Podcat, I've put up flyers in the neighborhood. I assume she has skipped town.
It has been... I mentioned today that my sister-in-law is having her 5th child. And my kiddo is like, I have so many cousins. And my response is, I know, you have so many cousins. I have 1 cousin.
I also have 1 cousin.
I have so many cousins. I have 100 living first cousins, or thereabouts.
Jesus
Holy
Christ.
shit, Beth.
Are you a Habsburg?
No, I know one, but no.
I thought my wife's family was big, but oh man.
Do you have to... I mean, I had friends back at home who had to make sure that when they started dating that they weren't like 3rd or 4th cousins.
They don't do blood tests in Pennsylvania anymore, but it probably wouldn't have been a terrible call. No, this is like, and what's wild about that statistic, my friends, is Puddles is an only child.
I did not know that.
Yep.
That's wild.
Yep.
That's wild, Beth.
No, we are fucking legion.
Hey, girl, how are you doing?
I'm just like trying to figure out how that maths for Beth. It's fine. Holy shit. I am also an only child and have 1 first cousin. So, like, what? Otherwise, I'm good. Happy Tuesday.
Commish, how are you, sir?
I've probably been a little bit better. I'm a little bit under the weather. My kiddo's got like hand, foot, mouth, or whatever, and It's been terrible. I'm trying to fight it off. I'm fighting. I'm not 100% here. So this is Commish's like flu podcast, I would say.
There you go.
So I'm battling through. I having like good news, like work wise, like got a small promotion, got a, and then like the baby comes home from daycare on like Friday and got this thing to deal with over the weekend. So I get good news and then like balance it out with bad news. So
can I say, first off, thank you for Commish and I actually had dinner the other night. It was magical.
Oh, it was.
We were under the skies of Texas and had barbecue. So thank you for that. That was fun. We talked about all sorts of things. I caught shit in person for not believing you could get a boat from New Orleans to Chicago.
I'm
you were
some...
both incorrect and forgetting something that we had already talked about on this show.
And then when Joey pointed out that there was a Tom Scott video about it, I was like, oh, I've watched the Tom Scott video about them shocking the Asian carp.
Yeah.
Us not having a memory though, like that's not a bit, everybody.
No, I hope you all understand this. It's not like a joke or even me like playing something up, they'll tell you this. I just don't remember some shit. I can remember great. Ask me like some areas, like, oh yeah, Jordan knows the mascot for this random D4 school in Ottawa, but it's like, what is this thing we talked about? I don't know.
Our group chat could be submitted as evidence in court that none of us have memory at all.
Mm-hmm. This is true.
The idea of someone ever charging me with premeditated murder is hilarious to me, because the idea of me being able to premeditate something is just that funny.
It's true. That requires you to have thoughts in advance and also make plans. And I don't know that you are constitutionally capable of either of those things.
I'm a human, living, breathing id, nothing else. Okay, so I said energy is weird, but that's okay.
We can do this. We can podcast through this.
God, this is the hard part, guys. This is when things get rough. The first thing I want to talk about is simply that had the portal open today. And I love the fact that everyone is just being bonkers about it. Right? Everyone has I would describe them as having big feelings. Everyone's having big feelings today. And this is the thing of, the portal's great when I get someone out of it. The portal, rawr, when I lose someone into it. Which, yeah. Pitt Girl, do you want to talk through some feelings you have?
Yeah. Pitt is losing, has lost 2 of the, bigger names that were supposed to be returning on the defensive line. Mm-hmm. And that's not good. The vibe is not good. There are a bunch of rumors floating around as to why Dayon Hayes in particular, who is a hometown guy who tweeted hail to Pitt 7 times the day before he entered the portal and negotiated a sizable NIL deal in December, reportedly, as well, has entered the portal, and none of them are good, and it's just not a good vibe. And I try not to pay too much attention to the portal or to recruiting, but oh man.
Why does the portal feel so much different than recruiting? Because I don't care about recruiting. To me just feels like there's too much of it. I can't do it. But the portal stuff I can engage with a little more. I don't know.
I assume that's because you have some type, you have established some sort of relationship with the people that are being portaled in and out of existence. Mm-hmm. For recruits, it's just okay, there's a random name that now I didn't remember the first time, that I won't remember the second time until they do something.
I mean, I kind of think of them, I try to think of them the same way. I've said on this podcast many times, I don't want to know my team's depth chart now.
Yeah.
I don't want that information in my head. I want that, if I only know who the starters are, that's a good sign. That means that we haven't had to get too deep in there yet. Mm-hmm. But yeah, as soon as the season ends, I'm wiping that out of my memory, and I'm not thinking about it until the season starts. I mean, when it comes to from a player side, right? Obviously, I'm all for players getting that opportunity. You got to look out for yourself, because at the end of the day, schools will say that they're looking out for you, but they're looking out for themselves. And if your interests align, then you're in a good spot. But I don't know. I will say, the Pitt transfer news is big enough that I did actually hear about it. It did come across my desk, so to speak, and I think that's a cool move. Entering the portal and being it's because the team's not good enough on the other side of the ball. Right? Because it'd be one thing if you if you just said oh, the team's not good enough, right? Then that kind of implicates you. If you're just just the other side of the ball, the offense isn't good enough, right? I'm over here on the defensive side, and we're killing it, but I just got to go find a team where I can still be killing it, but then have the offense be good. So I think that's I love that move. I'm a big fan of that mentality, that mindset. I love players that talk trash. I love players that have swagger, right? And I feel just all-time move right there. That's great.
That's fair, but also we went 3-9 last season, so if it's really that bad, I am gonna have to start thinking about how to get onto the 35th floor of the Cathedral of Learning, man. Oof. Oh, buddy, it's not going to be a good offseason.
Commish, what was the vibe you had today for Transfer
About
Portal Day? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't pay attention to the portal. I don't pay attention to
Oh,
recruiting.
you're
I'm a ULM fan. Like it doesn't matter. Like maybe I will look at what is it like 24/7 like once and see like ULM's class is 127th or something like once every few months, and it's just like it feels so freeing. Honestly, I don't even know how many times they open the portal. It feels like the portal's always open. Like
it was closed for a bit.
Every other month, the portal back open. Come on, let's more transfers. Okay, the spring game. Now we got to do the portal again, and then like school ends. Well, the portal. And then,
you want to talk about something I care nothing about, y'all, and I think you can tell from the fact that I think we've tweeted 0 things about any spring games, but I cannot care about spring games.
They're kind of fun. I think the reason that I care a little bit more about the portal is that I still have Jordan Addison related drama. And this is also the thing that annoys me about the portal. I am also all for players being able to do what they do and get paid and all of that, but I will go to my grave convinced that USC tampered with Jordan Addison. And I do not think that while it is good for individual players and I support players, I think they should be securing the bag and all of that other stuff. I don't think it's good for the sport as a whole for top tier teams to be able to be like, you know what? I want you. I'm going to pay you more and suck all of the talent out of the like mid tier teams and the G5 teams of the world in a way that's even more expedited than the way that they were doing it previously. So that's fun.
I have no clue what's going on in the portal. Like I'll see like, oh, this person's entering the portal for another school. I'm like, I got nothing. Like I don't even like just show me the rosters. Like when the season starts, the fun thing for me with the portal is just like the quarterback, like the journeyman quarterback. Like I'll pay attention to those. Like the JT Daniels, like randomly portaling to Rice out of nowhere. Like I'll do that, but I don't care about my team. I don't care about like other teams. Like what was the kid that went from Bama to Iowa and then back to Bama? Was it?
Oh yeah.
Proctor. And so somebody said like a joke that like he just went to transfer to Iowa so he could watch Caitlin Clark play, and then transferred back to Alabama. Which, I mean, who knows? But I just don't. It does not like recruiting has never pulled me in. The only time that I really cared about recruiting is when I wrote the potato chip ratio, and that's it. That is it. Like I have never like, oh, ULM's gonna get a 5-star. Yeah. If ULM does get a 5-star, you better believe like some fishiness is going on, like the most incredible fishiness. Like we're gonna get banned from the.
If Commish ever won the lottery, he wouldn't tell you, but there would be signs.
There would be signs.
Yeah.
Like yeah,
I feel like ULM getting a 5-star would be like Vatican City getting a nuclear weapon. Like I'm not sure that they know what to do with that.
No, we have no idea. Like there would be a 5-star and be like, what's going on? Why?
What about
the funny
should we
thing,
have them coach? Is that what they do? They coach?
The funny thing is like Monroe and the area around Monroe like produces 5-stars, but none of them ever go to ULM.
Yeah.
Like they wound up like LSU, Bama, like Ole Miss, like stuff like that. But if like one of them decided to stay home, it's just it'll never happen. So
Commish, then what about spring games? Are you into spring games?
I don't really care about spring games. I actually like the ridiculousness of spring games. So we on the previous episode, which we talked about the ridiculousness of Ole Miss's spring game, which you missed last episode. So
I heard it.
Yeah, well, I mean, like you didn't get to discuss it. So like it was crazy. It was nuts. It was like a 50-yard field. There's a hot dog eating contest. There's a dunk contest. There's flag football. There was no pads. And the fun thing that I saw was that the guy that writes the college football guide every year, Phil Steele, like hated Ole Miss's spring game.
That doesn't.
That is just as real as any other bullshit like form of the game people play for spring games, anyways.
Yeah, like it. I don't mind when college football is like also we're minor league baseball. Like
Get
that's
weird.
y'all. If you go to the Pop-Tarts Bowl or the Duke's Mayo Bowl, what do you think you're going to experience? Like, and it's wonderful, and we absolutely should celebrate it. Like, whenever I think of fun things about the spring game, I think about the fact that like the Gatling gun method of distributing food and T-shirts that we saw this year that debuted in a spring game.
Oh, that's true. I remember that.
Yep.
Yeah, like spring
Also,
games
it was the new Herbie Husker.
Right.
Yeah, you get
Like,
all
so-
the weirdness coming out of nowhere in a spring game.
Why would
Yeah.
you not?
Also, I think we can all appreciate a good excuse to go hang out with our friends and drink in a parking lot, preferably under an overpass in April.
Hell,
Why
given
not?
the way that the stands tend to work in a lot of the smaller spring games, you can just go right on inside with that shit.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I think
Nobody cares.
when I was in school at ULM, there was like the spring game. I'm like, what is a spring game? And then I went, and it was just like you know, an excuse for all the students to just have a great time and party. And it was just
Mhm.
like whatever. They would throw like deep passes all the time. The scoring
let me-
was weird as hell. It was just
Let
fun.
me change what I said though, because I think I said when I don't care about them, I meant on television.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, yeah,
This is
there's
not
no
something to
point.
be televised.
No,
This is for our friends.
yeah,
And the fact that it's on TV and treated like anything is bizarre to me.
so the best spring games have the vibe of like a family picnic where half of your uncles have had way too much to drink.
Yep. And they're reliving their glory days.
Right.
And then like
And they're
strip
like-
sacking a 6-year-old and knocking his shoulder out.
and it's after they finish the third case of beer that they're like, you know what? I bet we could play touch football right now.
I
Uh-huh.
love the spring games when they have like
Touch
the
football.
older gentleman that, you know, has been a Kansas fan for like the longest, and they let him run in a touchdown,
Mhm.
or like the Make-A-Wish kid or whatever, they or just a random kid. I don't know if they are or not, but like stuff like that is the fun part. And like to put so much weight or like put this on TV is just, and then I don't know. We're the committee. We don't take this serious because college football is ridiculous in its nature. It's we just can't take it serious. Like I can't imagine sweating out a quarterback battle, watching a game based off of like 5 reps in a spring game.
People that
And
are
people do
on
that.
your team may not even be at that game.
Yes.
Because they haven't transferred in yet.
Yes,
Like,
there's
You may
another
be
portal.
seeing last
and then
year's team.
Then there's another portal that opens, and then like 5 weeks later, there's another portal. And
We
I
got
think
to get you a portal
another-
calendar. I think
I
you're
don't-
overestimating this.
I don't
slightly.
care. It feels like the portal's like open and closed. It reminds me of. I don't even care. In my mind, let me just think that the portal opens and closes on a whim, because I mean we follow all these people on the committee
I like
account.
it.
I'm
I
like,
like
oh
it.
my god, the portal's open.
That might be better if
What
the
the
portal
hell?
were open for only like 36 hours at a time, random.
It's just like, oh, you want to transfer? Oh, you got.
Every time we get to the portal, I'm like, it would be fun to make graphics that rate like Portal Panic on a scale from 0 to the cake is a lie. And then I'm like, first of all, I'm the only person that's going to think that joke is funny. And second of all, I don't care about the portal enough to do.
I made a portal joke today,
Oh,
and
good.
people liked it.
Okay.
So don't worry. It's
Some
there.
of us still think it's funny. Oh, that's good.
Hey, Beth, you remember when Portal came out? What year that was?
Oh, God. It's going to be like 2004, isn't it?
2007.
Okay.
I was going to say, Portal's not that old. I remember it from when I was in school.
I got married that year.
Yep. Another interesting thing I wanted to talk about in the football realm is that the Packers and the Eagles have been chosen, I think they were voluntold, to play the game in Brazil. And they're playing it at Corinthians Stadium in Sao Paulo. And there's an informal ban on wearing green in the stadium because green is the color of their rivals. This is from @DairyCarrier on Twitter, by the way. And it's a Packers-Eagles game, so there's going to be lots of green in that stadium.
Wow.
Yeah.
The more that we have these games, the more that I'm in my head, I'm imagining that we're just extraditing those teams for prosecution.
Oh, like sending him to criminal courts
Yes.
elsewhere?
Yeah.
Are we sending?
It's
sending
like
the Eagles to
we're
the cave?
sending the Eagles. No, we're sending the Eagles to Brazil to pay for their crimes. They know what they did.
You know what they did, and you can't wear green. Deal with it, Eagles.
Well, I've seen Fast Five, so I know Brazil's where you run to, and the cops are
That's
trying to
right.
close in on you for stealing a bunch of DVDs
There you go.
or DVD players.
Yes.
How many DVD players does it take before you need to run to Brazil? Asking for a friend.
I mean, truckloads is in the Fast and Furious movies, but
Okay.
Someone has to have done that math. Some nerd out there has done that math.
Okay, we're still good. Thanks.
I'm trying to think, because we've started down this road of the NFL has assigned teams to countries, I believe.
Yeah.
They're just like, hey, these are your teams now.
Yeah, we discussed that previously, yes.
Right. And then we're playing these games outside of the US now. We have the UK game, we have the Brazil game, Mexico game
So
sometimes.
then we had, it started with like the UK again, and then we did the Mexico game. Then it slowly expanded to like the German game.
That's right, Germany.
Then now we're moving to South America with Brazil. I feel like there was a game in France at one point too. I'm not 100% sure. But they're slowly, expanding and holding like regular season games in these different
That's the thing,
countries.
right? It's not just
It's not a preseason game. Like I mean, you see like European soccer clubs come over and it's a preseason tour. It's an American tour. We're coming to Philly and this game doesn't count. We're coming.
No,
We're coming
instead
to your
it's like-
city, but done with like a very Eastern European vibe.
Yeah, now it's like, guess what? We're sending the Vikings to Wellington with playoff implications on the line.
That's the weird one, right? It's like, oh, this home game you're probably going to have. Nope.
Nope.
Go ahead and play that important game somewhere else.
Sorry.
Well, I mean, honestly, I would like to see the NFL like make this even more of like a formalized thing, right? Where like, let's say, right, there's 17 games now in a season.
Mhm.
So you can, if you have every team play one international game a year, then you can have it like, okay, like everyone gets 8 home games, 8 away games, and there's one international game. And honestly, like if you look at the stadiums, like they can fill the stadiums in other countries.
Yes, they do.
And so, at that point, like they might as well do it. And like, but like I would say like actually make it a thing. Like be like every team you're gonna get one game a year. Make it like a big deal, like kind of like how we do bowl games, right? Where it's like there's more events than just the game, right? Like the travel, you go out there. Although in the NFL's case, they can schedule them far, far in advance, right? Like you could know maybe even like a year out or more when and where these games are going to be. And then I think there's a lot of really cool things you could do there. Just, finding a way to kind of fuse the NFL and the particular teams that you have playing in that location with that location, right? And I think there are a ton of locations around the world that like could absolutely, play a game there. I think the NFL should like maybe just to say they do play on every single continent except for Antarctica. Like that, I think that's totally doable.
Coward.
Put a field.
Fall Out Boy tried that.
Green Bay needs to play on the frozen tundra of Antarctica.
The real Snow Bowl.
What's the big? There isn't a stadium in Antarctica, right? Like, is there?
You don't need one.
Years to build one.
I want the idea of a stadium in Antarctica. I want to say no, but the folks at the big American base get weird sometimes, and I'm not sure.
We're gonna put a stadium at McMurdo for reasons.
So not considering the population of places, like not putting it on an island that's too small to deal with like an NFL team. What is the place we could put an NFL game where we could at least fill the stadium?
I mean, this sounds like an idea for an NFL draft preview.
Yeah, we might want to roll through this.
Yeah, let's talk about this on a later episode because I feel like also this could just get into like politics where like like I bet if you put
fuck that if
you put one in North Korea like I don't know how many people
no I'm saying if they manage to convince 2 NFL teams to play a game in North Korea at May 8th whatever stadium it is, the giant one that holds like 200,000 people, they will fill that shit.
Put them on a Taiwanese ship in the middle of the South China Sea.
Oh, the King Solomon approach.
Yeah. So Arthur, as you were talking about the fact that we have an NFL team playing one game out of their 17. I was thinking, what if we went about this a different way? And every 17 years, the entire NFL did not play a single game in the United States.
Like like a Formula One season.
Like fucking cicadas.
Okay, that too.
We just bloom everywhere. Like everything is held abroad.
I like that. And one home game.
No home games.
No home games. Damn.
Entirely.
Always on the road. It's a traveling road show.
Yep.
Road warriors.
Oh god, you're like one of those arena football teams that doesn't have a home.
We're a fucking barnstorming organization now. The NFL is coming to Yo City, and by Yo City, I mean Smolensk.
It is Sewanee NFL. 1899 Sewanee NFL.
I don't know how many thoughts we have about this, but the FCS championship game got moved to a Monday night.
Put it on Saturday. Just put it on Saturday.
It's not that hard.
Why is it so hard?
It's not that hard.
Guess what? The playoff games also should be on Saturday.
It's this.
Put it on the weekend so people can watch it.
But they put it on Monday so people can watch it, Beth.
That's dumb and stupid, and I hate it.
I don't even think about it as so much as like so people can watch it. I think of it so like people can go to the game, right? Like,
oh yeah,
the FCS, they've managed to do something pretty remarkable in that they play the game in Frisco, Texas every single year.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the teams that are like the most common teams to be playing in that game are located nowhere near Texas. Like, I know Sam Houston had a run before they moved up to FBS where they made that game, I believe. But like, it's a lot of, Dakotas and Big Skies and
Delaware
teams from out east.
Side, yeah.
Yeah. And it does not matter. Like, people find their way to Frisco. And I don't know if one Monday night makes that harder, because it's definitely going to make it harder for like people that have jobs, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, especially like depending on how your like vacation time works, like it can be hard to take vacation in early January, like especially if you do stuff for the holidays or your time resets, whatever. Then on top of that, I have never been to North Texas at this time of year, but I would wager a guess that it's not always the warmest. And so playing a night game outside in January like might not be the ideal thing to do there.
Even if the teams are accustomed to it, you don't come to Frisco to be, you don't put your title game in the South and be like, I hope the weather's also shitty too. No, I'm with you on that. I have a lot of feelings about this. This is a game I've been to 2 years in a row now, so I'm basically a pro. But that Sunday afternoon vibe is great. Like, I really like that. I understand that Saturday would be better, but I get why that gets weird, especially that time of year. But Monday just kind of sucks. It just feels not like I would want that game to where I would want that game to be. And if anyone goes, oh well, they put the fucking playoff the FBS playoff game on Monday night or championship on Monday night, yeah, that sucks too.
Mm-hmm.
So we're clear. That's also sucks. This is a Saturday sport, and then we pretend like it's not for one day a year. Do we have NBA things we want to talk about?
Yeah, so I want to talk about the in-season tournament, or not the in-season tournament, the play-in tournament, which is going on.
Okay,
the season's over.
Yeah,
but
I did not know this.
The after-season tournament.
Yes. The NBA season has ended. Our long national nightmare is over. If you're a fan of some teams, for other teams, it means you're getting to the good part, the playoffs. But I wanted to go through here and just shout out some of my favorite moments from this past NBA season.
Go for it.
So here are my highlights from the season. And I will put the caveat in here that this is not necessarily the most important things that happened, not necessarily the biggest news. This is like things I found interesting.
Gotcha.
So the Chicago Bulls had a players only meeting like one game into the season, right? I don't know. I feel like you don't hear about a players only meeting in college, but typically like a players only meeting means like, oh, like things aren't going well. Like
right.
we need to sort some stuff out. And yeah, one game into the season, they were already at players only meeting. We had this actually, I think, was before the season actually really got underway, but Victor Wembanyama beefed with Britney Spears.
I remember this.
Britney
That
Spears
felt like years
got in an
ago.
altercation with like someone doing security for Wembanyama. But since like the season's actually gotten started, Wembanyama has 100% been the real deal. If anything, he's been as good or better than people expected him to be.
As a Spurs fan, I can say I'm thoroughly just happy with this. Like, whatever, this year, whatever, fuck it, don't care. It's gonna be
crazy is like he's legit been good, and like the Spurs team around him has been so bad.
Yeah, they've been awful.
They like in terms of their win-loss record, they have barely made any progress from last year, and they have shown some signs of like life, right? Like Wemby's good, but it's just staggering, like just how bad the rest of the team is.
Yep,
they have an amazing mariachi song.
Yes,
for Wembanyama here in San Antonio. It is very catchy. It is some good stuff. It is very good.
Yeah, and I'm sure he will continue being a big presence in San Antonio. Hopefully, they can get some other players on that team.
Can I go back to the Bulls player owner meeting after?
Oh yes,
okay.
Yes.
So the first game that they had the year regular season was they played the Thunder. They lost 124-104. The Thunder will go on to be the 1 seed in the West. So
very good.
Maybe they underestimated them a little bit, the Bulls.
Yeah, I mean, so the thing with the Bulls is that it's just a very weird vibes on that team. And so, like, it's less about necessarily the on-court results and more about, like, chemistry. Like, there was a reason people kept putting Billy Donovan's name up for the Kentucky job before they hired Mark Pope.
Yeah.
You don't always see a NBA coach leave for college, but, there's the move we've seen a lot of leaving for your next job before you get fired. But yeah, the Bulls just have had a very weird vibe. Zach LaVine, who like on paper should be like their best player, got hurt, and they just kind of still were mediocre. Like it didn't really affect them. So, who knows? Who knows what's going on there?
What are
very weird.
What are some other things you found?
Yes, so we have. I want to shout out the Wizards. The Wizards were terrible, and yet they do not have the best odds for the first pick. But the highlight of their season for me was Jordan Poole throwing an alley-oop off the backboard to Kyle Kuzma to cut the deficit to 19. So down
Beautiful.
21,
Beautiful.
He went off the backboard for an alley-oop.
Hell yeah.
I want to shout out the Lakers for winning the inaugural in-season tournament, which means now with the result of today's game, the Lakers won both in the in-season tournament and the play-in tournament. So now they just have to win the actual like playoffs tournament that people care about.
Classic. They're a classic tournament team.
Yes, they're only good in tournaments. So also we have to mention the Pistons. This was actually big enough news that we talked about it when it happened, but they did match the NBA record for longest losing streak with 28 games. Maybe my favorite moment of the season was when DeAndre Ayton for the Portland Trailblazers missed a game because the streets in his neighborhood were too icy to get to the arena.
I remember that one.
That's a valid excuse.
I mean, it is, right? Like, when you were a kid, right?
Yeah.
You got like snow days
in the NBA.
Yeah. We also, so a couple more players I want to shout out. I want to shout out Grady Dick and Anthony Black. Grady Dick on the Raptors, Anthony Black on the, I believe, Magic, for doing a jersey swap after their game.
Yep. Like that.
With their last names, which, you can do the math there. A couple more Blazers notes, which, you know, when I was going through this, I probably have more notes about the Blazers because that's my team.
Gotcha.
But Scoot Henderson, their rookie first round pick, broke the NBA record for worst plus minus in a game by being minus 58 in a game. So that means that the team they were playing, I forget who they were playing, was outscored the Blazers by 58 points when Scoot Henderson was on the floor in a game.
Brutal. That's brutal.
The Blazers had like a ton of like 50-point losses. They didn't lose the most games because of like the Wizards and the Pistons, but they had a lot of games where they just were not competitive. And another Blazer that also set a negative record was Delano Banton set an NBA record by going 0 of 15 from 3 in a game, which is the most missed 3-point shots in a single game without making one.
That's a wonderful record to have.
Yes.
And
You
miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
You do.
But also he missed 100% of the shots he did take too.
Yes.
They don't tell you about that part. No one ever mentions that part of it.
No, they don't. We also have Robin Lopez reading a book on the bench after the Bucks traded him. I love Robin Lopez. He's great. Jonte Porter was suspended indefinitely from the NBA because it looks like he was betting on his own games in a like not at all sophisticated scheme. Like we talked about when the Alabama betting scandal in baseball.
Oh, when he just showed his phone to the person who was like, look, I have this information.
So Jonte Porter was not that bad at doing this, but he also did not have any layer of plausible deniability. Like he was the player that he was betting on.
Okay, yeah, that's
actually. So this is all like allegedly, right? Like this has happened recently enough that they haven't actually like come out officially and said things.
Mm-hmm.
But he reportedly had a Discord of his own that people could pay to join.
Okay.
But rather than like getting
join our Patreon, no,
god damn it,
like, things like that. Rather than getting that, he was giving out like tips on how to bet on him. Like that was what people were getting for joining his Discord.
And for $5 a month, you can sorry.
No, I gotta say, like they probably got their money's worth if they were actually betting on it. You know, it went a while before they caught him, but this is the kind of thing I would expect.
You got it handed to him. The Discord, it was a good value.
Well, yeah, no, and honestly, the thing that I kind of think about here is like, yeah, he'll probably never play in the NBA again, but like he wasn't like a top prospect. I don't know how long he would have been in the NBA otherwise. You know, it's theoretically possible with some of these fringe NBA guys that if like they could get more money by doing something like this before they go play in Europe than like trying to, you know, stick around in the NBA on like 2-way contracts, like things like that. So, you know, like I think that, yeah, when you see betting scandals, a lot of times it's not going to happen with like the big stars. A lot of the time it's going to happen with things like that. But like honestly, I don't know why sportsbooks were taking Jonte Porter prop bets in the first place. Like that's on them. I like say what you will about sports betting. I feel like you shouldn't be able to bet on like a backup center getting into a game. It's a bridge too far for me. And then the last thing I want to bring up, one of the coolest players in the NBA, one of the only, maybe the only NBA player to be killed by John Wick, Boban.
Okay. Yeah.
He, in the, I think this was their last game of the season.
Last regular season. Well, he's on the Rockets, so I don't think they made the playoffs.
Yes. Yeah. No, they did not. The Rockets were eliminated. They had a nice breakthrough where they went from, you know, the top of the lottery to just missing the playoffs. But in this, their final game of the season, right? They're playing the Clippers in Los Angeles. And the Clippers have a deal that a lot of basketball teams have where they give out something if an opponent misses both free. So they go to the line shooting 2, they miss them both. Everyone in the stands gets some sort of prize. It's fairly common throughout basketball, not just in the NBA, but in college. I want to say it's Virginia Tech fans get bacon if a visiting player misses both free throws. But Boban had previously played for the Clippers, and so he was aware of the promo, and he missed the first free throw. I don't think he was aware at that point, but then he hears the crowd cheering, and he like puts his hand up and is basically like, hey, like I got you, and misses the second free throw so that the fans can all get chicken.
And then he like
amazing.
holds his hand up after, like he's like, that was me. I did that for you.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yes. No, it's great. And what's great about it too is the announcer. I forget if it was the Rockets broadcast or the Clippers broadcast, but the announcer really just sounds like a pro wrestling announcer. Like oh, he's gonna miss the free throw. Like the way that he got really excited for it. I love when an announcer does something like that. But yeah, those were my NBA highlights for the season. And now I want to talk about the games that are actually happening. Well, there's one happening literally right now, the play-in tournament. And I want to talk about this because I think that it could possibly be informative for other sports, other leagues, right? Including college football. Because I know, right, we're all having all this talk, they're doing all this playoff expansion, and, people have takes about it, people have feelings about it. And I will say, like, when the NBA instituted the play-in tournament, I was very skeptical. I just kind of saw it as the NBA trying to, like, scheme a way to get more like winner take all games, squeeze a few more games into the schedule, like get the TV money, that sort of thing. And I gotta say, like I was completely wrong. Like these games are great for a couple different reasons, right? The big reason I was skeptical initially was that, right, we already had the top 8 teams in both conferences making the playoffs, right? 16 teams made the playoffs before. And putting it up to having 20 teams in the mix, I was like, that's too much. Like, is anyone going to really care about like the 10th best team in a conference potentially winning their way in and then having to play a 1 seed? But we've actually seen some other things happen. And like, yes, it's true. Like there are teams like, I don't know, in the Eastern Conference this year, the Bulls and Hawks that are far from inspiring. I feel like even if you're a fan of those teams, you have to admit, like, they're probably not going to amount to much if they were to upset a team and make it in.
Not with that attitude.
Right. I mean, they're just not that good, right?
Well, I mean, unlike the 8 seed Miami Heat last year, making it all the way to the NBA Finals.
Yeah.
They won't do too much.
The Heat, that's another thing, is like people thinking like, oh, these teams aren't that good. We saw the Heat make that run after being in the play-in tournament. It's sort of like how in the first 4, right? We've seen teams make runs out of that in March Madness. So the one thing that it's done, the play-in tournament, is it's made getting into the top 6 matter more. Because it used to be when there were just 8 teams that made the playoffs, it didn't really matter that much if you were like 6, 7, 8, somewhere in there, right? Like it mattered for seeding.
But now that you're having to play extra games,
right? Now teams are trying really hard to get that 6th seed.
Gotcha.
Get in. I mean, we saw this year there was teams were playing down to the wire. They were playing hard. The Phoenix Suns ended up grabbing that out in the West, and I forget which team is actually the 6th, but like there were a lot of teams going for it in the East as well, and like it was really compelling. And those games matter a lot more than they used to, right? The other place that these games matter is like teams do actually really want to get in.
Gotcha.
And especially, it can vary like depending on how strong the conference is, if a team feels like they should. But like this year, the 10 seed in the West is the Golden State Warriors. So with Steph Curry and
who are essentially
that
10
team.
games over 500, which the West is ridiculous. The
Right.
The Pelicans just missed out on being the 6th seed, even though they had the same record as the Phoenix Suns at 49-33, and then they just lost to the Lakers in normal heartbreaking fashion, of course. So they get to move on to the next game, and they'll play the winner of the Kings and the Warriors, which is going on as we're recording right now.
There we go.
Yeah, and so there are a lot there. Like I was kind of thinking along the lines when they started, like, oh, like I don't like these are going to be teams that I don't really care to watch, but like it's made a lot more games matter. And then the other thing I'll say is that even within this play-in tournament, it is structured like, like the West Coast Conference does their basketball tournament, right? Where they're it's like, we're making like the 7 seed play more games to get into the playoffs when they used to just get into the playoffs. But it is structured and set up in a way to make all of those positions matter, right? Like there is a big difference between being the 7 seed versus the 8 seed versus the 9 seed versus the 10 seed. It's a big difference, right? Like if you're the 7 seed, you have to win a home game, one home game, and you're in, and you have 2 shots. If you're the 8 seed, that first game is on the road. If you lose that, you get another shot at home to get to the playoffs. And then if you're the 9 seed or the 10 seed, you have to win 2 games. And then if you're the 10 seed, they're all on the road. So that structure means that like teams aren't playing just to like be somewhere in that range. Like final week of the season, like they're going all in to try to get that preferred position.
Gotcha.
And then it's structured in a way that it gives a lower seeded team a chance, but it's set up for the higher seed to win, which I like that, right? I like the way that it gives them an opportunity.
Gotcha.
But the regular season, honestly, I think matters even more with this format.
Big fan.
And so I just want to bring this back.
The play-in format. Yeah.
No, so I just want to bring this back to college football, right?
Yeah.
Because I have my misgivings about like playoff expansion, right? Mm-hmm. My main concerns are just like who's getting all these spots.
Yep, the stuff we've
seen. And which is, I guess, the same concern I had with the NBA, right? Like I didn't want to see the Hawks in the playoffs the same way I don't need to see like Penn State in the playoffs after they lose to Ohio State and Michigan. Like, I mean, they're basically similar teams, right? Similar vibes, but I'm trying to remember how I was wrong about the play-in tournament, and try to think about how maybe there could be ways to expand the college football playoff while also enriching the regular season and making more games matter.
So I think this point is well taken, but the problem here is that I don't think that any particular NBA team or conference is driving the bus. And there are specific teams and specific conferences in college football that are driving the bus.
The Sun Belt, I know. I mean, the Sun Belt is ridiculous. I don't know.
So the incentives
SBC
are not there.
Is doing it.
Yeah, college football is one vast Sunbelt conspiracy.
I mean,
everyone knows
seems
this.
that way.
We've tried so hard to make that a thing. We'll keep talking to it. We'll keep bringing it into these to believe. No, I think the biggest issue is that the differences between, yes, I don't trust the committees to make a good choice for those top teams. Whereas in basketball, you play enough games that the records speak for themselves, versus it being a beauty pageant.
Most of the time.
I mean, the NBA does not have a committee. I mean, that's like, I feel like college sports are like unique in that I can't think of a single other sporting organization that like uses a committee
No,
to
but that's
pick
why
things.
this sport is so vibes based though. That's why it's wonderful. It's
Yes.
why I enjoy it more than professional, because it's not this shiny product that's being sandblasted into sameness over 32 teams. It is these weird ass appendages left over from 100 years.
Oh yeah, it's bullshit that people have been adding odd rooms to every single year. It's like, this pile of shit really needs a nice veranda. That's college football.
College football is McMansion hell.
We're gonna get Kate on here one day.
Okay,
Pitt Girl, what are you gonna say?
Listen, the 400th dormer is what really makes it.
Oh yeah, we are the most amazing McMansion. So the other thing about college football, though, that sort of necessitates the existence of a committee or a proxy for the committee, like the BCS, is the sample size being so small. Like, you can have confidence in the records of an NBA team being a reasonable predictor of how good they are. The eye test still actually matters in college football in a way that I don't think it does in other sports, and that is another thing that's fun about it.
That it has some beauty pageant aspects to it. I mean that in a non-gendered way, in a non-sexist way. You know what I mean?
And that's before we start to acknowledge the truth that, like, it's 18 to 22-year-olds, and expecting consistency out of 18 to 22-year-olds is madness.
My favorite kind of madness.
Ads.
As always, we want to make sure that you're using our sponsors because they have great products and also great things for you, including 7 Coffee Roasters, Bearded Brothers, Cola Goodies, and Pour More Liquor subscription. Use offer code yes, 3 ha's for 5% off your first order. Cannot ship to Utah, Mississippi, Alabama, Massachusetts, Tennessee, Hawaii, that's the weird one, Michigan, and South Dakota.
We have a couple of other things in our link tree too. So there's something for like a fitness thing. It's called Wear Bands. So if you wanted something like that, there's a 20% off discount in there. So just check our link tree in our profile on Instagram, Blue Sky, I mean, whatever. And there's random discounts that go in and out.
Then, of course, we have our Discord. For $5 a month, you can join our Patreon, gets access to our Discord, which gets you access to our weekly rating debates, our live chat during games in the season, and the off season, just talking about literally whatever. We have 3 different podcasts behind the paywall as well. That's Commish's Corner, Yes, Rah Rah Rah, Yes, and the Prairie View Chronicles. Plus, we'll probably come up with some other shit too. So if you're subscribed, you get access to that, plus the paywalled Substack posts as well. We have our Sickos merchandise store that is temporarily closed. Cut that part. Sorry, I kept reading. We have a YouTube channel. Subscribe to it. It has all of our shorts on there. They have been really good. The one about the riverboat up the Mississippi today made me laugh cutting it.
Yeah, it was a
Our
lot.
Instagram is there as well. Go ahead.
That was a lot of fun, and I'm trying to remember the name of the loop. I think it's the Great Loop. Yeah, and it's the Great Loop.
The Great Loop. Yes.
So you could go like 2 different ways. Like you can go around Florida, like cut
I
across
love that
the
you are
Everglades.
so hell bent on proving to me
Yes.
that this is.
Well, look. We have people in our replies like, no, there's no way you can do that, and I'm like, here's the wiki. Here's the wiki. And I am not going on YouTube to fight in these comments, though.
Okay.
I'm not doing that.
We have our Instagram as well, where I post some different things on there occasionally. I'm going to get better at that. We have our Substack right now. Our series is the best season of all time for schools who stopped having a football team. Crichton was last week. Seton Hall was out this week.
Yeah.
Some great stuff on there.
I got another one working, and I think Pitt Girl's like really close on hers.
I'm getting there. I am so far down the school newspaper rabbit hole right
The
now.
best place to be.
That's
It's a
like,
good
every
place
time
to
I
be.
write one of these, I get so in depth on these things, and like the Seton Hall one that I just did, I was like, I'm not gonna have any information. I can't find anything. And then all of a sudden, bam, I found something, and it was probably one of my longest ones that I wrote.
It's almost like we have the sum of all human knowledge at our fingertips. Shout out to the hardworking archivists who do things like scan student
my
newspapers
God.
from the
Thank
70s
you.
so we can
Yearbooks,
read them.
please.
Thank all
Thank
these
you.
schools for doing that. Like the yearbooks, just thank you so much for those. Just that's
Thank
the hard
you.
work.
Yeah. Thank you for making all of those scans so that later, many decades, maybe even 100 years later, we can look back on what some poor journalism major wrote about their team and watch them slowly melt down over the course of a season to the point where we then spend our evening Googling them to make sure that they're okay.
Yes. That has happened before. What was that writer's name? I can't remember.
I don't remember, but I remember exactly. We were
We
like, okay,
look him up. We had to look him up.
He seemed very sad.
He really did.
Shout out to Message Board Geniuses podcast. They go to the places that we refuse to go because sanity still matters here. And as always, our partners at Home Field Apparel, the softest, comfiest collegiate apparel that's licensed by lots of schools. I need to add more. Those RIT logos you sent today, Pitt Girl, were amazing. Use offer code yes, ha ha ha, yes, 3 ha's for 15% off your first order. And we'll be, of course, coming up with fun new cross promotions with them too for various things. So look out for that as well.
If they ever do put teal on there, I'm going to hijack the account for several days, encouraging people to buy the entire collection.
Like, if they ever get ULM, if Home Field ever gets ULM, which I've been in communication with, like some media with ULM, and I'm like, and then like Home Field is not. Said there's nothing for this year as of yet for them, but if they ever make like a 29-time water skiing shirt, like championship, I mean
heartbeat. Oh my god!
I mean, I'm gifting that to everybody for Christmas. Just like I'm gonna buy so much, it's ridiculous. So please license ULM and just avoid the problematic mascot in the past, please. Thank you.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm just saying, Home Field RIT football has been undefeated since 1978.
Right. I love the slogan of all those teams that I write. They always say undefeated since whenever their program stopped.
Yep.
Yeah, Commish, if Home Field ever does license ULM, I will buy you enough shirts that I can make it into a quilt for you.
There we go.
A thing you need in Texas.
Totally. I like for like the 1 week a year.
Okay,
Well,
kid.
when the air conditioning's down too cold.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm wearing a hoodie tonight because my house is actually too cold. The AC's a little chilly.
It is currently 87 degrees up here.
Oh my god.
What?
I'm not the only one having hot flashes.
It's 69 in my house.
Nice. I have my windows open and it's 71 and it's a little warm.
Yeah, it's been super warm up here. Folks, I broadcast in an attic, and there is no ability to open the skylights, so it gets toasty up here.
Toast.
Oh no.
I'm also in an attic. I just have a road outside, so I don't open my window when we're recording. It's hot in here too, I will say that.
I am hot in the closet. There's no air conditioning in here too, so I get it. We're all hot except like 2 people.
Well, for once in our lives, we have a special guest tonight. Yes, we've had a few, right? Some.
We're
But
Holly away from the slam.
Oh yeah, we get Holly. We get the 4 of a kind, let's say.
That's right, yeah.
We're collecting all the power stones.
But with us tonight, of course, is Spencer Hall at EDSBS from what do you say you're from now? Channel 6?
Yeah, I think Channel 6 is the home base.
There we go. Well, Spencer, you're on here to talk with us about y'all's fundraiser. What is it? How did it get started?
It is the EDSBS Charity Bowl, aka the Charitibundi Bowl. Got started as a sort of community effort on the old EDSBS.com as a way of, I don't know, saying putting the community's best intentions towards a specific goal. In this case, we decided to go ahead and donate to the refugee community in Clarkston through an organization now known as New American Pathways, and been doing that for, I think, a decade at this point, over a decade, and have raised, I want to say, at least $2 million, in the neighborhood of $3 million.
Jesus.
In terms of overall, over the span of time, in terms of totals, it's a lot of money, and really all we do is just kind of point and suggest that people do this. And they do. And they do every single year. So far, we're coming up on the end of day 2. You can see me looking at the big board here. Our initial goal, which is very important to set attainable, measurable goals.
Absolutely.
In everything. Our initial goal
smart
was
goals, yes.
500. Yes, smart goal. This is sustainable, measurable, attainable, real, and terrific. That's
there we go.
Sure.
Yep. That's what I'm calling it now.
Yep. I have an MBA. I can totally do that. I don't have an MBA. But we're at $472,000 on day 2 with a $500,000 goal. So yeah, let's get $1 million. Let's try to do that. That'd be good.
How did you get started with this organization? Like, what's your connection to them?
I got my start when I moved to Atlanta and deciding that waiting tables was no longer in the best interest of me or the hospitality industry, that I should go work in the nonprofit industry. It's very important if you're going to go into journalism, I think, or writing, you should definitely come from a place where you earn less money. And nonprofit work at the time, especially at my level, was definitely less money. But it was very rewarding, but I wasn't very good at it. But I was very moved by the people who worked there, the good stuff they did. In particular, co-worker of mine, Peggy Mixon, later went on to head New American Pathways and turn it to the organization that it is today. I am an immense believer in true hospitality. I know looking at me or hearing me talk, it doesn't really give that vibe. But I do think the most important thing that you can do is to welcome the stranger either into your home or your communities. We have an essay on the site that is free for everyone to read, why we do this. It's on Channel 6 this week, and you can find it. But in short, this is one of the tenets of like basic civilization. This is one of the things that across all great religions and cultures we do at our best, which is that we welcome the newcomer and we help them out. And in particular in America, we do that better, more consistently, and with greater success than anyone else in the world. And I think this is, hopefully we're playing into that like fine tradition of hospitality. And it's great when you have something that you believe no matter what the weather is or what the political currents may be. And when you have a cause where you can do a lot of positive good with not a whole lot of cash, really. Like, it doesn't take that much to make a massive impact.
So when did the college football shit talk get into this?
I think that happened around 2012 or so, where the idea of weaponizing grudges and other people's sort of petty feelings towards their rivals and weaponizing it via a score. So we've gotten a lot of Michigan scores this year. There's a lot of
imagine that. Yes.
So a lot of 15s, involved, a lot of various national championship based numbers that have been involved. So we've gotten a lot of that. This today, God damn, we got a lot of Syracuse money for some reason.
I saw that. I wasn't sure what happened today, but
sometimes that happens.
Woke up. Ooh.
Like Syracuse finally remembered they're a private school.
Yeah.
You know, that would be private capital entering the public sphere. The first time I've ever seen that happening. So congratulations, Syracuse. You're the only ones trickling down, and I really appreciate that.
Only Syracuse would capitalism backwards.
Yes, that's, you know what? Try that. It's science. It works.
I mean, that's how you can spell auto the same way, front and back. So
yeah, that's true.
It makes a whole lot of sense.
The Charity Bowl is the one time every year when I wish that Pitt had scored more points in 2007. And I swear to God, Pitt Girl, if you clip that audio and send it to the other WVU fans, they will never find your body.
Don't tempt me.
Yeah, it is a wonderful time when people get very, very creative. I really enjoy that somebody in Michigan used a Connor Stallions based metric to come up with their total. That was really good. Somebody else came. Today I donated. It's not particularly clever, but I donated the number of feet that Marco Wilson threw his shoe against LSU in 2020, which for the record was 25 feet. And then I tacked his number 3 onto the end for 75.03 plus processing. So it's fun to do that every day, to come up with sort of a different new way of doing it. So I encourage you to do the same, because obviously I think this is a great cause. The money, in case you don't know, the cool thing about this is that it goes into something that's called the EDSBS Empowerment Fund, which is this fund that they can use for whatever the organization needs at the time in terms of service. You know, I don't want to say whatever it means, whatever at the time. No. It's service oriented. So gotcha. For instance, one year, the example that's like most concrete and easiest to drive home what this money does is that a bunch of these guys, a bunch of new refugees came in, and on the whole, they were getting jobs in trucking. Trucking was still, was hiring at the time. It was booming, but they didn't have CDLs. So how do you bridge that gap? Well, you just pay for driving classes so these guys can go feed their families. And we were able to do that. Like, that's a very tangible result from the kind of interventions that we see, where we have money, we pay for this, and then it directly benefits and, helps them become successful Americans. And by the way, what's more American than like a Nepali refugee out there just like tearing down the highway in the name of American commerce, right? Like, what better way to introduce them to this grand wild country than by, you know, getting to be a trucker, man? Like, you know, like they got the hats, like you're more American than I am. It's already
Introducing
happened.
them to the wonders of I-35 between San Antonio and Dallas.
I mean, what better way to meet America than like Loves and QT first?
That is definitely an up close view of America, right there.
And maybe some Buc-ee's, but yeah.
No,
Yeah, but no.
Can't put a truck on Buc-ee's.
No
why?
truck at Buc-ee's. That's right. I forgot.
No trucks at
That's why they're
Buc-ee's.
great.
The QT's
Buses,
on the
yes.
other side. Yes.
Yeah.
Plus, you get the nice Loves card that helps you with all the diesel. Very important.
That's right.
The best thing
right.
I did at Buc-ee's this weekend real fast was that across the way, whatever the QT or Flying J was, they were actively hostily advertising to Buc-ee's, like, don't pay the beaver, just giant on the side. Real
Or
serious about this.
or they just play to the truckers, and the truckers park there, get their gas, and they walk over to Buc-ee's for snacks. And I'm like, that's great. That's a fine community result.
Well, Spencer, you know, this is something that I've donated to. I will say that I am a Dartmouth alum. I throw money in it. Unfortunately, I'm also a teacher, so I did not do the best with that degree. So other Dartmouth alums, please, if you're listening to this, throw in real money. Let's not come in last this year. You know, we have folks from all over. We've donated all sorts of numbers, and I just wanted to say thank you for doing this. It's a great thing, something that we believe in as well, and always love to see it succeed.
Thanks for doing it. All we do is point, and that's the best part. Is that we just said, hey, this seems like a good idea, and then everyone else makes it happen. So thanks y'all, and thanks to anybody hearing the sound of my voice who has donated, will donate, or is thinking about it. If you haven't donated yet, if you don't donate, I will put myself in a headlock. I will do it, and I will knock myself out. Or if you need me to do that in order to donate, just assume I already have tonight, and that I came to shortly before the show and did it. So you owe me. Go ahead. Pay up. By the way, Jordan, respect to Dartmouth, the Florida State of the Ivy League. And I say that in terms of not academic reputation, but in terms of drinking.
Oh, yeah.
Well done. Or the Arizona State. It's like the Arizona State of New England.
Yeah, it's
Consider Dartmouth.
every time I have told a story on this show about my college experience, I get four other faces going, normal people didn't do that, or how did you live through that? And yeah.
That's right. Rembert Brown went to Dartmouth, which is how I know exactly what kind of school it was. Because they get down.
Commish, you have one question to ask?
Oh yeah, I am the T-Boone Pickens of ULM and the charity drive. I have taken advantage of the employer match,
and we thank you for that.
That's just me, and like I think our Canadian correspondent Joey donated 20, so that's like the whole total. It's me.
One, you've been doing that for years, so
yeah.
Consider this personally. Thank you. My gratitude is endless for that. Also, ULM mentioned. That's very important.
ULM has been mentioned. I wanted to ask you something since it's the Sickos Committee podcast. I know on your full cast they try to have like a rule where they don't allow you to talk Florida Gators football.
Correct.
All right. So since you're on a different podcast, I kind of want you to answer this question and see where it goes. It may be a two-parter, but who do you think the most Sickos head coach of the Florida Gators, not Spurrier, not Urban Meyer, was in the history? I'm just curious on your opinion here.
Ron Zook. It's Ron Zook.
Yeah, you were right. Yeah, called it.
It's Ron Zook. I was like, I think he's going to go with Ron Zook. The prevent defense blowing big leads against bad teams, but then upsetting like LSU on the road.
Good for a wild upset every now and then. He's like our Houston Nut in that respect, that if he wasn't favored and he was on the road, everyone was like, God, that guy's trash. They'd pull out like a 24-21 upset. Florida won the first game at Bobby Bowden Field.
Yeah, when they dedicated the field.
But in like the most Sickos fashion, because he was already fired.
Yeah.
But he was coaching out the string, so he had nothing to gain from this, and yet they won anyway. That would be fighting at a frat house, in the name of his players, barefoot water skiing, and then, just sort of being like, yeah, bro, that's what I do. Barefoot water ski. It's awesome.
Thank you for mentioning the barefoot water skiing picture. I wanted to just say that to put that in one of our clips.
I had dinner with Ron Zook, like after... Because, when Ron Zook was my coach, I wanted to kill myself. Like, I was like, I really would rather die than watch this. I need this man to stop coaching my team. And after that, I somehow ran into him at a random dinner. And he looks at me and goes, "Are we friends?" And I was like, "Yeah, man. Yeah, we're friends. Sure."
So
We're
you
good.
didn't confess that you created fireronzook.com, right?
I did not create fireronzook.com. I would like to squash that rumor once and for good.
I was just
First of all, what makes you think I could have crafted such fine HTML?
It was real quality.
I love how that got put up like before he even coached a game.
Nope. Before he coached a game. Say this for me. I'm a loathsome presence as a Florida fan a lot of the time, but I at least am evidence based. Like when we lost real bad to LSU at home, that's when I was like, "Oh, we don't know what we're doing anymore. Oh, this is over."
Well,
What was the other part?
No, that was it. Just if you
Awesome.
created Ron Zook, fireronzook.com. Spencer, thank you so much for joining us. I know you've been working overtime. It's Tuesday. You still got like 3 days to go until y'all go dark mode on the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
We'll release this here, and just let us know in the DMs what you want your Sickos committee character to look like. Do you want it like Florida colors? Do we need to put a beard?
Oh yeah. Yeah. If you could just look like a bearded alligator is always really good.
It's perfect.
Gotcha.
That's we'll definitely submit that to Hector.
Like a bearded alligator that's working as like a CIA agent undercover, but not in a real nice country. Like one of the crappy looking ones. So.
Gotcha.
Are you making a Balkans reference again, Jordan, in your head? Is that what's going on?
Yeah,
Okay.
this is very Eastern European spy. I got this.
Yeah, Spencer joins the Black Hand. Yeah.
Yeah, just me and Gavillo Princip making plans. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, one last time, where can people go to donate? I know you've said it already, but I hammer that home.
Yes, you can do that. First of all, we're going to be tweeting out the link. So the best way to do this, of course, is to follow me on Twitter. Let's make sure this is still working here. Yeah, if you just Google, this is great, by the way. If you just Google the EDSBS Charity Bowl, like if you just put it in Yon search terms, it pops right up, including, love them, first result on this is the goddamn Marquette blog. They've been
Yes.
so good about this. Shouts out to them and for everything they do and for supporting what we've got. So I love it. But you can just either put that straight in Yon search bar. You can use the link that we tweet out all the time. You can. There's a number of different ways to get there. But once you do that, or you can do this. You can just text Charity Bowl 24 to 91999. That's right. You can just text Charity Bowl 24 to 91999.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Have a good evening.
I can confirm, by the way, that it is super easy to donate because in the time that we were doing that interview, I just threw in $100 in honor of the 100th anniversary of the first college football game at Yankee Stadium.
There we go. I'd like to talk to you about the 1947 Ohio State Buckeyes.
Okay, why though?
Because this is part 8 of our series of the worst season of all time for teams who are above 600 all time. Have we agreed on a pronunciation for this yet?
No.
Go for one, Commish. What am I going to call it?
The what's the 600 at?
Wow.
The wah. It's the yes. There we go.
What what's so
You'll notice that I have appropriated the Ohio State University PowerPoint templates. The first of which is literally 4 people forming OHIO.
Oh no.
Is this the official font?
I think Google replaced it because otherwise it's a fucking basic ass font.
It is big.
Yes, that's why I asked.
I mean, it is a basic ass school. Let's be clear.
Ooh.
It's true.
Let's talk
Sickos
about
Committee Podcast, a podcast with slides.
Let's talk about the 1947 Ohio State Buckeyes.
I have to get on and yell at Liam at some point because I've fallen down the rabbit hole of their podcast in a terrible way.
Yep, it's great.
That's what it's for.
I've never looked at the slides or watched the YouTube at any point. It is an audio only podcast, which I feel like is the most sickos way to consume it.
Absolutely. This Ohio State team is 2-6-1. This Ohio State team lost back-to-back years to Illinois, This Ohio State team gets murdered by national champion Michigan and is basically what a season of nightmares would look like for this team. They come in last in the Big 9 conference this year with a 1-4-1 record.
I'm just imagining that the Big 9 logo still looks like the Big 10 original logo.
Oh,
But there's like a hidden 9.
10 in the 9.
There's a hidden 9 in there.
Who is their coach? Why, it's Coach Wesley Fessler, a Pittsburgh coach for 1 year in 46.
Hey.
Coach Fessler was an Ohio State player. He was actually a unanimous All-American in 1930 and a two-time consensus All-American in 28 and 29. He played for Ohio State, so Mama called. He went home. He had been an assistant there before World War II. He was a Harvard assistant. He was a head coach at Wesleyan, but then the program paused for World War II, and he ended up joining the predecessor to the CIA for a bit. Then he came back, and he coached at Princeton for a bit, was head coach at Pitt, and then what we're interested in, the head coach at Ohio State. And y'all, we're back to a first-year head coach at a new place.
What could go wrong?
What could go wrong? Well, so you'll notice on the side where we list his actual record, his 2 years at Wesleyan, he was 4-4 and 3-5 as a head coach there, and then 3-5-1 his 1 year at Pitt. And they hired him based on that. Which, okay, sure.
So
you want to believe the guy can come in and
hire.
do some things. Basically, yes. Now, he did manage to win the Rose Bowl within 2 years of this season.
Okay.
So it wasn't down for that long.
Close enough.
Your reminder that Ohio State doesn't really have down eras.
Yeah. They have
Yes.
years, not years.
Memento mori.
I want to talk about the photograph Wes Fessler Kicking a Football by Harold Edgerton, taken in 1935. The professor, Harold Edgerton, actually invented a stroboscopic photograph that sort of flashed light at the same speed as a camera. And they took a picture of Wes Fessler kicking a football, which is in one of the, I believe, the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York. This is the first time they noticed that a football actually dents in when you kick it.
That's such a wild achievement in early photography.
Like at 31, like a crazy achievement. So, what did the newspaper have to say about this? Wesley Fessler to make debut as Buck coach. Ohio State's Buckeyes will help kick off the first big week in the end of football Saturday afternoons when they meet the Tigers of Missouri. The eyes of the football fans and of the nation will be on the Buck gridiron as Wes Fessler fields his first Big 9-11. That's a complicated series of numbers. He had 51 gritters, 31 of which would be lettermen.
I really don't like that it's at his first Big 9-11.
Yeah, it's really bothering you, right?
Gosh, what do you think? Like, I bet they didn't know about 9/11 back then.
No, definitely not in 1940.
47.
They did, and they didn't warn us because whatever would have happened had they warned us would have been worse, obviously.
You can see the picture of the staff next to that. That is a pasty ass old man staff there on the right. And Coach has some real high waisted pants. We got to talk about where his waist is, because I'm not sure.
The whole pants situation of that photo makes me deeply uncomfortable.
Oh, it's all
Yeah,
over the
the
place.
longer I look at the pants, the more uncomfortable I become.
Nobody,
and it's not just his pants.
Nobody has the same level of pants. Like there's no uniformity here.
And some got some bulges that are weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Incredibly weird.
Please.
Maybe they're just happy to see you.
Oh no. Okay.
Oh no.
So, Wes Fessler is going to kick off their season against Missouri. Well, they win this game. Okay? They beat Missouri. You can beat experience, headline says. Ohio State's grid Buckeyes weren't too impressive in their debut Saturday, but that doesn't mean that their abilities can be sold short. Something you'll notice about this newspaper this year is the editorial staff gave up real fast.
Oh, good.
And so
No.
it is just like,
Well,
nope.
I mean, like the second sentence, they've given up already.
The new forward wall received 60 minutes of experience despite the groans of the perennial moaners. The Scarlet and Gray showed plenty of promise. There were lots of emotional wins this year. Also, one of the sketchiest ads I found, BMOC wants models. Students interested for modeling for the BMOC, Big Man on Campus magazine
I
fashion
figured.
pictures should report to Room 40, Ohio Union at 8 tonight. Don't go.
Or don't. Yeah.
Don't go. This is a bad idea.
This sounds like prehistoric furniture company, and it's got all the red flags. No, thank you.
This is from what's the Ohio Buckeye blog? Give me one sec. Sorry, I had it pulled up and I closed it. I actually have organized tabs tonight, folks.
But
Not that organized, but not that organized.
The 11 Warriors blog, or
yeah, 11 Warriors blog.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of this came from 11 Warriors, by the way.
Okay.
11 Warriors says 1947. Fessler and Farrow's squad entered the locker room at halftime in a scoreless tie. In the second half, fullback Joe Whistler put the game on his shoulders and scored both of Ohio State's touchdowns to give the Buckeyes a 13-7 lead in front of 59,000 folks at Ohio Stadium. Okay, one game in, we're good. New coach, things are working. Next game up is against Purdue.
Uh-oh.
It's fine.
They end up losing to Purdue 24-20. And it turns out that the source paper was really tired of the 5-4-2 defense, which is what Ohio State was running at the time. And Purdue, who was not supposed to win this game, absolutely ran over them. Needing a touchdown, the Buckeyes drove into Purdue territory, but their drive stalled at the 30-yard line. The Boilermakers took possession on downs with 1 minute remaining and held on for a 4-point win. The first loss. And we go, okay, let's make this work. Next game. Oh, sorry, interlude first. Article, Co-eds weigh advantages of longer skirt lengths, by Helen Goman. Now that classes have begun and co-eds have returned once more to campus, a great issue has been made concerning the new longer skirts. It appears that the majority of women favor having their legs covered.
I wonder why that is.
There may be one advantage to this new trend in the general appearance of campus. The walks will be swept cleaner than they ever have before. You gonna swish your little fancy dress around? Yep. The male opinion may lie in the fact
that's exactly where my eyes went.
May lay in the fact that the masculine mind becomes infuriated, attempting to decide whether or not it is being deceived.
Deceived how?
I don't know.
I
Like
think
hiding
you
your legs is
don't
a
have
crime.
legs under there. I think your legs are a lie.
Paul Houghton, A4, says, quote, I think the long skirts are very becoming to girls. I'm in favor of them. On the other side stands William Watkins, Med1, who says, quote, any college girl who should be ashamed to cover up her lovely legs with black stockings and long skirts. They look like they're in mourning. It appears that the smart co-ed should interview her date before she decides what to wear. Why are men?
Why?
No, a woman wrote this. This is by Helen.
I know, but why?
Oh, yeah.
Why internalized patriarchy?
Good guy, Paul, I think.
I don't know. I do think, like, you got to be able to show off your shoes, right? Like, you got some nice, like, Jordans or something you want to let people know.
Long skirt, black stockings, Air Jordans.
So we
Short skirt, long jacket, Air Jordans.
Ooh, okay.
So things were going to get better. Coming to town was number 20 USC.
Sure.
USC would defeat the Buckeyes 32-0, but something had been added to the game.
Oh my god.
Literal game changer. Female cheerleaders in short skirts, no less, appeared for the first time in Ohio State's history in 1947.
Listener, please know that female cheerleaders, parenthetical, in short skirts, no less, ! Is an actual quote from the yearbook or newspaper, whatever.
Newspaper, yes. I did cut out the extremely sexist headline that was like, the gives fans something to look at. Certainly not football team.
Oh my god. Reader, you should know that their incredibly scantily clad outfit is
Below the knee.
Is shoes with bobby socks, a skirt that is below the knee, and baggy sweaters. With what looks like a collared shirt underneath, although it's hard to tell.
So we have something at least for that 32-0 loss.
Yeah, scandalous bits of calf.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't even get an ankle.
No, absolutely not. What do you think this is? The Bahamas?
So the newspaper is trying to rally the troops. This is from an editorial. Don't give up the ship. When the 76,000 fans left stadium Saturday afternoon, there should have been no doubt in their minds that the Bucks were as weak a team as they've been classified by outside observers this year. The Southern California triumph must have erased all of the stirring predictions made about Ohio State grid chances in the preseason football predictions. It should have helped them to see why the pregame football predictions by handicappers outside of the Midwest saw Southern Cal winning the ball game by a heavy margin of points. Yep. So we are at the turning point here. 32. This is game 32-0. This is going to be a bad year.
I'm always confused by this.
Yeah.
So this is 1947, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they indicated handicappers, they're setting lines and everything like that.
Yep.
Who's gambling on this now? Where are you betting on this?
The guy.
People in Vegas?
No,
Well,
the
Vegas
guy down
didn't
the
even
road.
exist in 47.
Like your Chicago mobsters.
Okay. Oh, so
Got a guy.
the Atlantic City. I mean, what do we got?
You're going to Cincinnati, you're going to Pete Rose Way, and you're showing them on your phone that you have the inside info
That's right.
that Ohio State is going
You
to
gotta-
win the game.
I mean, look, I got texted, so I got to bet. It's funny. It's who is setting these lines?
But it has to be
Well,
vibes
no,
based. It's a guy.
What's great about this too, back in the day, right? It used to be, right, because it would just be dudes setting lines in certain places that if you traveled, you could get different lines. They'd say, and especially which made sense for whoever was setting the lines, right? Because probably people are going to be homers and they're going to want to bet on the home team to win.
Yeah.
So you could, if you, but it would be hard for you to know, right? Because you couldn't just look up the lines in another city. But
now I'm
if
thinking
you just happen to be traveling or something,
Oh, your
you
other
could
guy.
maybe bet both sides.
I'm
Yeah.
thinking about the Columbus Mafia, Columbus, Ohio Mafia.
I'm sure there was some
I'm
activity
sure
there. It's a
it'd
big
be
enough city.
something, man.
You know, I've seen one movie I think that was set in
It
Columbus.
throws me.
It was an action movie, action thriller starring John Travolta called I Am Wrath.
It was all the guys with the weird hats, and they had a toothpick, and they were flipping a nickel on the corner. That was it.
Flipping a Buckeye.
Flipping a Buckeye.
I mean, it's worth noting that
See, we got
gambling
USD
is-
favored by 20. See,
there are great articles you can read about gambling on presidential elections going back to the founding of the country and how the favorites tended to be assassinated if they won handily. Yeah, it's a whole thing. The story of gambling is rich and wonderful.
Gotta find a book about that. The headline, by the way, in the paper about this game was, "There was no doubt about it, we got trampled." Side notes. Trainer Doc Bunsenberg saw plenty of action Saturday as he helped many injured Buckeyes from the field.
Ouch!
Oh, no.
So they got real hurt. You know that feeling when even I think everyone's giving up on your team and they're just hey, you did the bare minimum. Good job. Third quarter drive brings Buckeye victory. Y'all, they didn't win this game. They tied
The
it.
champions of the third quarter.
Yeah.
It's the
this
John
game,
Wall Award.
this game ends up being 13-13 at Iowa. And they called it a moral, they literally called it a moral victory in the newspaper that sent fans home happy and satisfied.
With
How
Jesus
how
Christ.
How
quotes
bad
around
do you have to
moral.
be?
This is so much cope. This is
My.
wow.
I just feel you didn't have to write that.
Also, late splurge of 2 touchdowns. Did Kirk Ferentz write this?
It's amazing how much
Yes.
that Iowa is a joke. The jokes we have about Iowa are always there, but they've been true for a long time. It's not a
Because
joke.
they're not.
It's not a
It's
joke.
not a
It's just
joke.
the truth. When we tweet
Just
the
the
stuff
truth.
about Iowa, I tweeted the other day, Iowa won a game in 39, 4-0 with 2 safeties in the last quarter.
It's all the stories are true.
Yeah.
It's all true.
Hey,
I love our big, beautiful Midwestern boys.
God, I love Iowa so much. I need to go to Kinnick one day. I got to do it.
Ohio State goes to Pitt next.
This should be fine.
This is no win Pitt. In fact, Pitt would not win a single game this year, except
Sounds like a good year for us.
Except for taking out Ohio State 12-0.
Oh, I love this. This is perfect.
This is the
super
only
weapon.
thing the newspaper posted about this. All this is a headline that says Pittsburgh 12, Ohio State 0. Somewhere crowds are cheering, somewhere people shout, but there is no joy in Mudville where Casey, mighty Casey, has struck out. This is the only thing they put in the newspaper.
Didn't even attribute your quote, assholes.
like this is down bad, y'all. From 11 Warriors. Luckily for the Buckeyes, the Panthers were winless. Even with the poor start to the season, Ohio State was favored to beat Pittsburgh for the 8th straight time. The Panthers only gained 2 first downs in the game, but they were able to put 12 points on the board. However, the 12 points were 12 more than what Ohio State could muster.
Can we just take a moment to appreciate the fact that 2008 vague booking was alive and well in the Ohio State newspaper, where it's just like, I'm going to post the equivalent of song lyrics and you just got to guess how I'm feeling and why I'm so upset.
I mean, we have established previously on this podcast that old newspapers are just Facebook.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it makes complete sense. Like, let me put this as a status and like, okay, is this person okay? Is this person like having a good time? I mean, what does this mean?
Pitt Girl, I will say also about this team, the 47 Panthers, they had 4 first downs the whole season. And 2 were in this game.
Christ.
2 were in this game. They were outscored 267-26.
12 points on 2 first downs, Pitt Girl.
Oh,
that's
God.
the super weapon at work.
Somewhere
did snag a safety against West Virginia, though. That game was 17-2.
Nice.
God, that stupid game.
Oh my God.
Arthur's right. Pat Narduzzi is smiling somewhere and doesn't know why.
Oh, God. That was great. Okay, so this was a bad loss. Everyone agreed it was a bad loss. Next time, Indiana 7, Ohio State 0.
Oh, no.
From the newspaper. Who's down there in the cellar? There's no one here but us Buckeyes.
No, Pitt's there too. We're on one step above.
in
What
the
are
Big
other
Nine.
things the newspaper would rather talk about? They started including a little column about the faculty bowling league.
Now I'm imagining Pitt and Ohio State playing a game of Betrayal at the House on the Hill, where nobody can find the damn steps from the basement.
Every goddamn time.
Down the coal chute you go, idiot.
Well, congrats, by the way, to the print shop who is leading the Monday League and the agronomy department, which was leading the Tuesday League. There was an editorial that was just titled, "We fought like hell, but we still got beat."
Oh, I have to make sure that I absolutely lord that faculty bowling league thing over on my sister, who has an animal husbandry degree from Ohio State.
Now, guys, I need everyone to sit up and listen, because I'm about to tell you about one of the weirdest things I've ever come across. I know. This is the 1947 Northwestern Ohio State game. I'm going to spoil the end up front. Ohio State wins this game. They win it 7-6.
Okay.
But I'm going to show you the title of the article and tell me what's weird about it. Bucks fight, get breaks for overtime victory.
Was there a 1-point safety in this game?
No, that would have been good.
Oh.
Y'all, when was overtime put in place?
Oh.
The 90s?
So why are they talking about overtime in 47?
Did somebody forget how clocks work?
Quote,
It was
took
added
more
time,
than
like soccer.
It took more than the prescribed 60 minutes, but the Buckeyes won 7-6, their first Western Conference victory of the season Saturday.
Okay.
I have you drawn in now. From 11 Warriors. The week prior to facing Northwestern, the Buckeyes lost a home game to Indiana 7-0. Ohio State was 1-4-1 when they welcomed Northwestern to Ohio Stadium. Think about what a 1-4-1 Ohio State crowd, what the vibes are like in that crowd. Has to be awful. Has to be
Rancid.
awful, drunk, just like no one's having a good time. Imagine that picture of Big Nut, super sad in the snow.
Sad nut.
Now, change him to like 47 and he has lead poisoning. He's also smoking a lot.
Lead base paint.
One of the most intriguing endings in Ohio State history started off slow. The Wildcats and Buckeyes were tied 0-0 at the end of the third quarter. However, it didn't take long for Northwestern to put points on the board in the final play of the quarter. On the second play of the fourth quarter, Frank Aschenbrenner plunged from 2 yards out to give the Wildcats a 6-0 lead. Northwestern's Jim Ferrer missed the extra point, however. In what appeared to be Ohio State's last drive, the Buckeyes failed to punch in the ball from Northwestern's 1-yard line. With less than 2 minutes remaining, the Wildcats took over, and many of the 70,000 in attendance began streaming towards the exits. What happened next is still hard to believe. Northwestern was flagged for 7 penalties on the ensuing possession and were forced to punt. They have the ball back with fewer than 2 minutes remaining, and they get flagged for 7 penalties on that drive.
The fuck?
Wow.
Also, this is why you never leave games early.
Do we know what the penalties were for?
I don't have that with me right now.
Stabbing.
I really hope they were all like unsportsmanlike conduct.
So Ohio State takes over on the Wildcats' 35-yard line with 31 seconds on the clock. And then things get weird. From the Ohio State Football Encyclopedia. On first down, quarterback Pandel Savik passed 24 yards to Dimmel at the Wildcat 12. There were 13 seconds left. Savik's next pass was intercepted by LA Day as time expired, and Northwestern had won 6-0. Time's done.
Okay.
Ohio State marching band starts onto the field for its postgame show, and fans were pouring out of the stadium. However, Northwestern had 12 men on the field during the last play.
Oh.
And Ohio State would have one more down.
Oh no.
The untimed
The
down.
Buckeyes tried a deep reverse with Rodney Swinehart carrying, but Swinehart was tackled to the 2. But wait, Northwestern had 2 players lined up offside, and they would
Jesus
get
Christ.
another play. 2? This time, Savik fired a lobbing pass to Jimmy Clark in the back of the corner of the end zone to tie the score 6-6. Emil Molda's conversion attempt was blocked, but again, 2 Northwestern players were offside.
Oh my,
my
God.
Molda's second attempt was good, giving Ohio State the win 7-6. Every Buckeye point was after time expired.
Oh my God.
What the fuck?
3 untimed downs, and they got 7 points.
And 2 extra point attempts.
Yes.
100% of their points with zeros on the clock. That's incredible. See, they're talking about overtime. This is not football overtime. This is NASCAR overtime, right? Where like NASCAR has this rule where at the end of the race, they have to basically take the white flag under green. That's the rule, right? So you can get into these situations in NASCAR races where like they cannot run a full lap without crashing. Yeah. Which is what they need. So, like, this is NASCAR overtime. That's what this is.
Oh.
Like, Northwestern just needs to run one play without being offside or some other penalty.
Oh.
And they can't do it.
Ohio State managed to lose a game in which at the end of regulation, they were both shut out and didn't have the ball.
Managed to win a game.
They won this game.
Ohio State wins this game.
Oh my God.
This is their only Big 9 win of the season.
I would like to propose that we rename Clock Commander Eternal. The Clock Commander trophy is still Eternal Clock Commander Mario Cristobal, but I want it to be like Eternal Clock Commander Mario Cristobal trophy at 1947 Northwestern Field.
This is so stupid. Can you imagine just sitting there and watch, like, the clock is 0-0. You've won the goddamn game. You're good.
I'm baffled by the amount of penalties that they did in the last 2 minutes of the game. So in the drive before they got it, they committed 7 penalties. But then
that's so many.
That's so many penalties, right? Do we know like the total? Was there like a box score of like how many penalties?
But then, I never saw a box score. Keep talking. Give me a second.
Like there's so many different penalties here. This is incredible. So they had 7 penalties on the drive, and then they give the ball back to Ohio State at their own 35. Then, they get to the 2-yard line. penalty, tie game, penalty on the extra point. Like, they lose.
They have 2 plays where they have 2 people who are offsides.
Yes.
Oh my God.
I found it on Sports Reference.
Okay. Do they have stats?
I'm looking. Doesn't
It'd be
look
funny
like
if it was like
It
just
got
they've
this-
only had 10
just has the
penalties and
score.
it was just all of the last 2 minutes.
Hold up. New York Times may have it. Hold up.
Oh.
Sickos committee Googles things.
This is the part where we're supposed to have done research too.
We are done research.
I don't know why I didn't think to like actually dig into this more. I'm gonna have to make this into something else. This game is too good to not use for like 40,000 different things.
This is ridiculous. Yes.
Okay, I'll dig it up later on. Okay.
We'll look later.
Yeah. Okay, so this happens and you win a game. You've won a Big 9 game finally. It's at home. Everything's good.
That's all right. You won a Big 9 game with your 11.
You're 11.
And surely made the right honorable committee of the local sickos of the time just incredibly happy.
I'm sure.
Ye oldie sickos in our top hat.
In Columbus.
Well, it did not go well for them. They played ranked Illinois, and a really great newspaper article headline, which sounds like it came from, who was the wrestler that always said humble? I will humble you.
Oh.
Iron Sheik.
Yes.
The Iron Sheik. Superior Illini humble Scarlet and Gray 28-7. The stubborn, spirited Buckeyes bowed before a stronger, more experienced Illinois squad 28-7. Although the Buckeyes were humbled by the predicted 3-touchdown margin, there did not appear to be that much of a difference between the two teams. Okay.
Besides the 3-touchdown margin.
Besides 28-7.
The Columbus Mafia nailed the line here.
So we're going into the last game of the season.
It was
They're
a push.
playing Michigan. Surely.
I want to put some respect on the Illini's name. They won their last national title in 51, so they were really good in these.
Yeah,
days.
they were. No, they were they were ranked in like the top 15 or so. Okay. So how do we deal with Michigan coming to town? Number 1 ranked Michigan, who's going to go on to win the Rose Bowl. Okay. Well, here are some headlines. Wolves are tops everywhere. Michigan offense best in Midwest. Take over first spot in AP poll. Wolves defense shift expected to trouble Bucks.
It appears that they have not yet reached the point in their evolution where they avoid the use of the letter M or cross it out. Gentle listener.
They did have to the next day after they posted this, from the sports editor, Tuesday turned out to be Michigan Day on the Lantern Sports page. We hope that no one thought he was reading the Michigan Daily, which paper should serve the needs of press agenting the Wolverines well enough without our help. The boys of Maize and Blue have been having quite a season. However, it will be interesting to see how Saturday they will perform against the Bucks. No matter what they do or how they do it, they can still only win, lose, or tie. Most people are saying they're going to win, but that remains to be seen. Let's hope that Coach Fessler and the team don't think so, and let's hope also that they're not just pointing towards holding down the score. We hope that they're going to Michigan to win that ball game.
Listener, win that ball game in all caps. Did they win that ball game?
Well, Bucks to face favored Wolverines at Ann Arbor. Also, heaters may be potential death agent right underneath.
That was what jumped out at me too.
Yeah, guys, gas stoves apparently can kill you. Be careful. I'm going to tell you how bad the game went, y'all. Because the next thing I'm going to show you is the cover of the next newspaper.
Oh, they went by train.
Pitt Girl, what was the top headline of the next newspaper?
Team to pick 48 football captain.
Next year, baby. Already. We're going to pick.
I was expecting like a fully black page.
Oh, that would have been really good. No, they're already talking about, hey, we're picking the new captain.
Next year, baby.
So on page 6 of the newspaper, Bucks almost surprised Wolverines out of win. It was 21-0, y'all.
Buddy,
some coat.
Ben Sunbury, author of literally all of these articles, I'm sure he has passed on, but I would love to ask him what his definition of almost is.
Almost. Except for those 21 points. We would have surprised him.
Did he write the last one too, where they lost by 21 and the line was actually 21?
Yes.
Okay. It's like, they weren't that, they were still close, even though they lost by 21. Again, he did the same thing here. Oh my God.
At least they're writing articles at this point. After the Pitt loss, they just posted a poem and not their own poem. They just got sad and ate ice cream.
Jesus Christ.
There are so many parts in this where I want to be the math teacher that writes "show your work." Like the sentence, "This game, with the game with all the trimmings of any traditional rivalry, brought many surprises before the final gun sounded." Do we ever support that sentence?
No.
It just hangs out there like a dangling damn participle.
And of course, like a Buckeye. The 47 Wolverines would go on to California to play USC in the Rose Bowl and win that game 49-0.
Yes. This 47 Michigan team was incredible. They beat Pitt, which we know Pitt was not great. They beat Pitt 69-0.
69-0.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Their closest game.
Nice.
Their closest
They
game.
may have found the stairs out of the basement, guys.
The closest game all year, they had two. Against Minnesota, it was 13-6, and then at Illinois, 14-7. But everything else, they just obliterated them, like every other team. But it was close. Apparently, they were only 21-0.
This 1947 Ohio State team, they go 2-6-1, 1-4-1 against conference opponents. Finished last in the Big Nine. Were outscored 150-60. They got shut out 4 times. 32-0 to USC, 12-0 to Pitt, an awful Pitt. I don't think it could be said enough how bad this Pitt team was. Lost 7-0 to Indiana and 21-0 to their rivals up in Ann Arbor. I will say that this team 2 years later goes on to win a national title. No, it wasn't a national title. They were Big Nine co-champs. They beat Cal in the Rose Bowl. They ended up being ranked 5th in the country at the end. So they're there. They turned around very quickly. I will say that Wes Fessler, after 4 seasons there, would move on, and he would become the head coach at Minnesota. Then Ohio State would hire a guy named Woody Hayes, never heard of him. If I've learned anything about this series, it's you never want to be the guy before the guy. Because I feel like we're always talking about the guy before the guy.
It's almost like that's how you get the guy. Because if the guy before the guy was the guy, he would still be there.
Yeah, I think you may want to tell Nebraska fans that and see where they hang their heart when they can start going. This is the guy before the guy, right?
Right.
Keep hoping. Okay, folks. Can I just say that Northwestern game makes me so happy?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That is so fucking bonkers. I'm gonna have to read everything I can about this game and try to write something about it because that is too good just to mention it on the podcast. I need to scream this from the.
So, question.
Yeah.
Which game would you say is, I don't know necessarily better, but more sickos? That Ohio State Northwestern in 1947 or Georgia Tech Miami in 2023, which we all know is our number 1 game.
I think the 47 game, because they literally scored after the clock the game was over.
Mm-hmm.
This is almost as bad as, was it Central Michigan, Oklahoma State?
Yes.
The untimed down?
Yes.
Yep. But this is shooting yourself in the foot so much.
And so many times. This is like 7 penalties on the last drive of regulation for Northwestern. And then I didn't count, but at least 3.
At least 3.
Maybe 4.
Yeah, because it was 3 attempts at the touchdown. 2 of which were called back because of offsides, and then an offsides field goal attempt.
And a couple of too many men.
Oh yeah, it wasn't too many men. That was the one that got us past the game. Yeah, too much Wildcat. Got too much Wildcat.
This is
many mans,
insane.
too much mans.
Too many mans.
What if 1947 Northwestern was actually just 11 Mario crystal balls time traveled back in time?
God, I so bad. I want to look up the Northwestern yearbook right now so badly to find out what they had to say about this game because I bet it's insane.
Oh no, the journalists of Northwestern would never write something partisan about a game.
The Medill grads have far too much integrity for that.
I think we ran into the problem where Northwestern actually doesn't have their yearbook available digitally. I know they block off a lot of their old fucking newspaper subscriptions. It was super annoying.
Boo.
We have a little more time on the clock. Let me look for 2 seconds to see if I can find that yearbook.
Sickos Committee Googles things.
Their alumni. I don't want your fucking alumni news. Commencement programs? No, I want your yearbook. Not the Kellogg School of Management yearbook.
They're so bad at journalism. What's up?
How are you so bad at this?
This is archiving, to be fair.
That's true.
Digitized publications.
That's what I'm looking at. The Purple Parrot. That's what you could get away with calling your student humor magazine in the 20s and 30s. You just had to be something purple and exotic.
So wait, they named themselves after a Legends of the Hidden Temple team?
No, the Legends of the Hidden Temple team is named after them.
It's some fucking Northwestern.
Which is totally fine. The only logo I will ever accept for Northwestern ever again is going to be the Legends of the Hidden Temple shirt.
I should just
Homefield, are you listening? I hope you're listening.
throw that on everything now. Okay, I can't find it right away, so I'll have to dig for later. Okay, folks, I think that's all we got for tonight. Thank you for listening to us. As always, feel free to share this with a friend. Why not? Or share it with someone you hate. I don't really care. I can't tell you what to do. Share our clips with people, because our clips, I think, are a better way to get people, indoctrinate people. So do that.
Yeah.
Send us $5 a month. Go donate to the charity drive. Go hug someone. Someone who consents to being hugged. Someone who consents to being hugged.
Yeah.
Just hug anyone. Perverts. Okay.